Hey everyone, let's talk about something that is uncomfortable, but it's real. It's absolutely uncomfortable, and some of you are probably going to get offended when you hear me say this, and I'm so sorry, but it's something we got to talk about. And it's the simple fact of, are you still dragging around their coffin everywhere you go? I know I just offended you, and I'm sorry, but it's something we got to talk about. You're not literally dragging around the coffin. I got that. But you're carrying the weight of the person's death like proof that you love them. It's proof for everyone to see. You're carrying it around for everyone to see. Like we don't believe that you absolutely love them. The problem is this: the coffin was never meant to be carried forever. Listen to me and hear what I'm saying. Their coffin was not meant to be carried forever. It was meant to be buried with them in it. And that's the hard part. And so today, so many of you are walking around with this huge coffin on your back. And I want to talk about it. I want to see if we can have an adult conversation and discuss this. Okay? We're going to talk about what it means to stop carrying the coffin and what it means to settle it down, for you to set it down so that it doesn't offend you, offend all of your friends, offend all your family in any way. And absolutely doesn't mean you're going to forget them. It doesn't mean that. It means that you're open to beginning healing. That's what it means. It means that you're open to beginning healing. And hey, look, here's the deal. Somebody has to have this conversation with you. And if you're one of the ones carrying the coffin around, you know that I'm talking to you. I know that you know it. Friends, if you guys don't know me, my name is Sharon Burbaker. I'm the owner of the Grief School. And one of the things that I teach at the Grief School is processing the pain of grief, is how to process the pain so you don't get stuck walking down the street looking like you're carrying a coffin everywhere you go. And this is what happens when we carry the coffin. We set it down right when we enter the room. We we walk in the room and we set it down, meaning we let everyone know that we're a griever. We let everyone know who our person is. We let everyone know that we lost our person. And it doesn't matter how many times people come up to you, give you a book, talk about healing, talk about feeling better, give you their therapist's name. You don't take any of that. You don't take any of that. Hey, I'm going to be the first one to tell you, grievers have choices. You want to carry that coffin? By all means, go right ahead. Go right ahead and carry the coffin. If we think we're going to stop hurting, and that also equals stop loving your person, that's not what it means. If we start laughing again, we'll lose them. We'll lose respect. People will think we're over it. They'll start judging me for being over it. If I start living again, people will think that I've moved on. People will think. What do you think? That's what I want to know. What do you think? What is the thing that you needed to do to show the utmost respect for your person? But here's the truth. You can love them and set the coffin down. You can love them and live again. I promise you, you can still honor their life without letting the pain be your only connection to them. There it is right there. I just said it. We believe that our only connection to them is this pain. We believe that as long as we stay in this pain, we'll be able to sense them. And as long as we sense them, we will have them in our heart. You know who said that? Do you know who said that? Me. I'm the one that said that. I thought that if I did any work on Austin, that I would look like a bad aunt and that my love meant that I should be in this pain forever, that I should be in this pain forever. It was my way of showing. I carried the coffin, you guys. I'm the one. I didn't just come here just to be mean and say all these things. I came here to tell you that I was the one carrying the coffin. All right, I'll admit it. That was me. When I say carrying the coffin, I'm talking about the invisible load that you're carrying. The invisible load that you carry after the funeral, after everyone goes home, after no one is calling anymore, but everywhere you go, you have this grief that you lay out before you. One of the ways that it shows up is in the replays of your mind. You keep replaying that last moment over and over and over again. And then you find something in there that you call guilt, which may be true. I'm not denying that. And that starts to keep you up at night. The way you feel like your heart is stuck in yesterday. You can't even move on. You won't go to dinner. You won't go hang out with anybody. You won't go do anything. Friends, I want to tell you something. This is not the fresh new griever whose person just died. This is also the person who has had their loss within the first 6 months. That's not you. You're actively grieving. This is not the person who's had their loss within the first year. That's not them. They are actively grieving. If you're listening to this and you know that it's you, you're probably in year 2, 3, or 4. You're grieving just as big as you did then the day that they left. All you do is cry everywhere you go. It's that coffin, right? The clock has kept changing. The calendar has continued to move, but you have this invisible coffin that you are carrying. Okay, so I just wanted to be clear with that. I don't want you guys to hear this and be like, oh my gosh, my person just died 6 weeks ago. I'm not talking to you, love. I'm talking to somebody 2, 3, 4 years and beyond. You keep replaying that moment in your mind over and over again. The guilt of that memory keeps you up at night. The way you feel like your heart is just stuck in yesterday. It's not just the sadness. You are stuck in survival mode. And that survival mode never gets turned off. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You're constantly in the loop of the loss of your person. Carrying the coffin looks like holding on to the grief as tight as you can because it now becomes your identity. You are the griever. You are the perpetual griever. You are the ones we call the grief queen. You are the ones that is grieving all the time. You have stopped living. You have stopped existing. If it doesn't have to do with your grief, you don't want to have anything to do with it. And even when someone walks in the room and they tell you that they can help you, you stop showing up. You stop calling. You stop hanging out. It almost feels noble. It almost feels noble. And it is. It's like this proof of love. But in the bottom of it, if I really was to look at it and peel it off, my friend, it's fear. It's absolutely fear. You are scared to death. And so I want to acknowledge it. I want to acknowledge my heart to yours. I can't even imagine what this must be like for you. Fear that if you let go of this pain, you're going to lose the last piece of them. And when I tell you that's me, it was me. Who are you if you're not carrying that grief, that coffin? Who are you if you're not carrying the coffin? If you were honest, what part of your grief feels sacred, so sacred that you can't let it down? Is it the part of the guilt that you're carrying? The part where you felt you couldn't answer the phone? You didn't answer the phone, and so now you're going to punish yourself? Is it the part that you feel, I got to show up? I got to show up for them. If I don't show up for them and let everybody know that they're still around, that this is my job, this is my honor, I've got to keep this grief feeling up. Friends, it's okay. You can lay it down. I promise you. So I'm going to go over some descriptions of who this might be. You're stuck in the story, a part of the story, a part of your memory about the person just keeps playing over and over again. Your brain keeps going back to that day. Something in yesterday, your brain keeps going back. Like it's trying to protect you by getting you to remember every single detail. Even when you lay down and you close your eyes, you go back to that moment. But what if that memory is really trapping you into that moment? What if you're actually trapped in that moment? I want to tell you this. You can't rewrite what happened. You cannot rewrite what happened, but you can choose what part you still own. You can choose what part you still own and what part owns you. And you can choose what part you're going to give over so that you have some peace. But in order for you to do that, you got to break down that event. You got to break down every aspect of that event. How often does your mind take you back there? Is it every day? Is it 3 times a day? So 4 times a day? You're probably carrying the coffin if you keep going back to one story over and over and over again. Number 2, you make grief your identity. You start leading with the loss before anything even happens. You start talking to someone you've never met before, and immediately you go into the conversation about the loss. Instead of talking about your life, what you do, what you enjoy, what things you like to eat, how many grandkids you have, you immediately share about the loss. And partly that part of that is that you're dying to talk about it, but you have fewer and fewer people to talk to it about. You talk more about the death than anything else. You talk more about the dead than you even talk about the living. Grief becomes the headline for your story instead of a chapter in your life. Instead of a chapter in your life, it becomes your whole story. If someone were to ask you who you were, you're like, well, I'm Sharon and my husband died. I'm Sharon and my nephew died. I'm Sharon and my father died. You immediately throw it in there. You're probably carrying the coffin if that's your identity. You're carrying the coffin if you're afraid of healing, if you're afraid of letting go. If you stop yourself from feeling joy because you think it's disloyal, if you stop from feeling joy because you feel like you're betraying them, if you stop from feeling joy because you feel like you're in survival mode, you got to stay in survival mode, you're probably carrying the coffin. Healing doesn't erase the memory, friends. It allows the memory to breathe. It allows the love to breathe. It allows the love to grow without choking you out. That coffin is heavy, girl. It's heavy. When you're asked about the coffin, you go right to the conversation like it's nothing. You bring it up before anyone else brings it up. You start becoming the lady in the room that they're like, oh, she's the one that lost her husband. She still talks about it. People are whispering about you because they know. They know that as soon as you come over, you're going to start telling the story. When was the last time you allowed yourself to laugh? When was the last time you allowed yourself to enjoy? If you can't answer that question, you're probably carrying a coffin. You feel guilty when you start to feel okay. The minute you start to have a day where you went without thinking about the coffin and you get a break and you start to feel okay, then you start to feel guilty. That spark of peace shows up. And then your first thought is, oh my gosh, what kind of person am I? I feel better. I can't feel better. And then the guilt comes in and the grief follows right behind it. It keeps you stuck between guilt and grief, guilt and grief, guilt and grief, instead of between love and joy. You start punishing yourself. It's a punishment that you're doing to yourself. If this is you, you're carrying the coffin. What would your person say if they knew you were punishing yourself like this? Does that even matter? What would they say? What would they say if they knew this is what you were doing? If you resist talking about your grief in new ways that helps your story to change, then you're probably carrying the coffin. If your story hasn't changed in years and you keep telling that last day, that's not healing. That's preservation. You're stuck in preservation. Grief needs oxygen, not glass walls to look at it. Talk about it differently doesn't mean you're moving on. It means you're growing in your grief. It means you're growing in your fear. It means you're growing in your broken heart. It means you're growing. You're willing to take a breath. You're willing to say this: I acknowledge that what happened to me was wrong. I acknowledge what happened to her was wrong. And I acknowledge that I'm grieving, and that sucks. I'm grieving. What story do you keep repeating over and over and over again? And are you ready to rewrite it? Are you ready to rewrite that story? And if the answer is no, you're probably carrying the coffin. I'm sorry, I got to be honest. You're afraid of who you'll be without the pain. If you are afraid of who you'll be without the pain, you are probably carrying the coffin. You lived with it so long that it's starting to feel like a part of you. Who will you be without the coffin? Who will you be if you're not talking about your person? Who will you be if you're not putting them in the room 10 minutes before you get in there? Who will you be without it? That's a huge question. That someone that you will become is someone that other people want to meet. They want to meet you, but they haven't seen you in years. They haven't talked to you in years because all you've talked about is your loss. You've closed yourself into this little room, not them. If the pain wasn't in charge, who would you be right now? If the pain wasn't in charge of you, who would you be right now? When I lost Austin, I realized I was carrying the coffin. It was well after 8 months. I was so busy trying to take care of Erica, I really wasn't taking care of my own grief. And I felt like if I kept this pain, it was going to be a way that I honored him. And I wasn't even saying it out loud. It was just something that I knew. Because he was here one day and he was gone the next. And that's all I knew. And all I was left with was this pain. I didn't want anybody to talk to me about the pain. I didn't want anybody to talk to me about the grief. Every decision, every conversation was filtered through my pain. Everywhere I went, I would tell people to see what their reaction was. And if the reaction went too high, I didn't want to be a part of that either. Grief had become my shadow. It went everywhere that I went. It went everywhere that I went. And the coffin wasn't very heavy, but I sure as heck carried it. And it was Erica, Austin's mother, who said to me, "You got to let this go. You have to do your work." Austin doesn't live in that coffin. His love lives in you. And it was at that moment that I realized it, that I set the coffin down and I did the much needed grief work. And guess what? I didn't lose him. I gained more of him in my heart, my soul, and my spirit. And I'm telling you, had I not done that work, I wouldn't be here right now being able to share it with you. Because you can't build a new life with hands that are holding a coffin. You cannot walk around like this and expect to do other things. It gets in the way of everything you're trying to do. So here's one tip that I want you guys to think about. If you want to start setting down the coffin, begin here. I want you to think about separating your love, the love that you have from your person, from the pain. Write down everything you love about your person. Write down everything you love on a piece of paper. And then I want you to get a second piece of paper and write down everything that hurts. You're going to start to see something powerful. The love doesn't vanish where the pain begins. Where the pain begins to fade, the love will stay. The love is here. You're going to see all of the things. We've got to get rid of the pain. We're keeping the love. That's how we start. We separate the two, and we're going to concentrate on the love. I loved her smile. I loved how funny she was. I loved how she joked. I loved how she loved me. I loved how she cared for me. I hated the way she abused alcohol. I hated the way she never kept a job. I hated the way she always was yelling and screaming. We're going to keep the love. We're not keeping this part. Your grief doesn't have to be a monument. You don't have to keep revisiting the coffin over and over again to prove to all of us that you care. We know you care. Your person doesn't live there. They live in you. They live in the memories. They live in the choices that you make every day to honor them. She lives in your laughter. She lives in your future. So stop dragging around the damn coffin and let her rest. Honor her by living. Honor her by healing. Honor her by releasing all of the guilt, all of the pain. Release it. If you're tired of carrying this pain and you're ready to start healing, then I want to talk about what you're doing for the holidays. What are you planning on doing for the holidays? Are you scared to death about what you're going to do for the holidays? Because on November 8th at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, we are creating a holiday care plan. A care plan to show you how to set up for peace through the holidays, how to handle guilt, how to handle pretending, how to handle family, how to put the coffin down so that you can enjoy the holidays. Friends, click the link that says click here for hope to reserve your spot. And let's plan this holiday season so you won't be left caught in the dark on how to get through with the holidays. All right, friends, again, I say this to you. I am so sorry if I offended anyone, but this had to be said. It had to be said. And most importantly, I'm coming from my own experience. I was the number one person carrying this coffin around. I'm bringing it to you because I know what it felt like. I distinctly remember. And I remember the love that filled my heart when I let it go. And here's the biggest thing I want you to remember is that I love you. And I'm saying this tough message out of love, out of care, out of love and care for you, not out of being mean. Thank you so much. I'll see you in next week's live. Talk to you later.